Welcome to yoga today. My name is Kristen and I'm a health coach with Orion. Today, during yoga, we are going to do some exercises that strengthen our core. So we're going to start laying on our backs today. And we're going to start just nice and relaxed so you can extend your legs out. Just lay on your back. Let all your muscles relax and focus on your breathing to begin with. As you begin to let go of your muscles, focus on your breathing. Just inhaling and exhaling. See if you can inhale through your nose and exhale through your nose. At this point, let your breathing be your only focus. Let any other stress or worry you have just kind of melt away. Set it to the side throughout this yoga class. See if you can start making your breathing a little bit deeper. Just inhaling for a little bit longer, exhaling a little bit slower. Breathe and you're focusing only on your breath. Really bring yourself to the present moment by paying attention to how that breathing feels to your body. How does it feel when you take a nice deep inhale and all those muscles in your core and in your ribs expand to make room for that fresh air? How does it feel on the exhale when all of those muscles release and let the breath come out? Let yourself become familiar with your breathing. Kind of like your rhythm, and we all have our own rhythm, our own breath, and so really tune into yours, making it even deeper here if that would feel good to you. As we're taking some really nice deep breaths, I want you to imagine every inhale going straight to your stomach. A lot of times we'll breathe into our shoulders, our chest, our ribs, but I want you to really think about sending that breath straight to your stomach. Sometimes it helps me to place a hand on my stomach and a hand on my chest. And as you take a nice deep inhale, think that you want your hand on your chest to stay still and your hand on your stomach to lift. So continue to breathe like that, really expanding through your stomach with each inhale. So many times we're just worried about keeping our stomach small and sucking in our stomach. But really the nicest, deepest breath we can get is one that really expands and fills our stomach. want you to bring your hands to your hip bones and then let your fingers come just barely inside your hip bones. We're going to take one of those nice deep stomach breaths. And then on the exhale, we're going to keep exhaling for as long as we can. Be gentle, but just keep exhaling and exhaling until you feel those little tiny muscles underneath your fingertips contract. Let's do it again. Take a nice deep inhale. And exhale nice and long. Keep exhaling and squeezing out all that air until you feel those little muscles contract. Inhaling and exhaling. Time, inhaling nice and deep, expand your stomach, and exhale, keep exhaling, feel those muscles contract. Now for just a second, try and hold that contraction that you feel in your core, and especially right there inside your hips. That's the kind of contraction that we want to have throughout yoga. It's a contraction that kind of pulls everything in and makes all our little core muscles work hard. That kind of contraction is also contracting muscles around through our backs as well, which helps stabilize our spine. So anytime you're doing crunches or sit-ups or any other core work, maybe do this breathing exercise first to find that contraction of all your core muscles, and then that's the way you want to keep contracting your core muscles throughout your core exercises. We are going to bring our knees into our chest here. We're going to try and flatten our entire spine into our mat. So all the way from your head, down through your neck, your shoulders, your lower back, and then even your tailbone. You want to think of your tailbone still trying to reach down and press into the mat. And let's use our core muscles. We're going to pull our knees in a little bit closer, lift the tailbone off the ground, and then release. And let that tailbone press back down into the mat. Inhale, contract your stomach muscles, pull your knees in closer, and then release. Let your tailbone reach back towards the mat. Continue breathing like this. Exhale, release. The inhales, I am using my hands to help me a little bit, but the main movement is coming from my core, thinking about contracting my core to bring those knees in. One more time, inhale. And then exhale, release your feet all the way down to the ground. Make sure your spine is nice and long. We're going to do a few really nice slow sit-ups that will engage all those muscles in our core. So extend your arms out in front of you. And we're going to start by tucking our chin to our chest, and then very carefully lifting up from there. It's going to be a little bit slower of a sit-up than you're probably used to, but that's okay. We're focusing on not doing any jerking movements or any quick movements, but really using all of the muscles in our core. Also, as we're doing these, we're keeping those stomach muscles tight that we were contracting during that exhale. Let's go ahead and do it again. Sometimes with traditional sit-ups, you'll find that as you're crunching up, your stomach is kind of bulging out. We're trying to avoid that. So think about really pulling your stomach in, keeping those muscles contracted even as you're coming up. working through these sit-ups, you'll feel it'll start to warm up your body a little bit, warm up your core. It takes a lot of practice to make these really nice and smooth. So if it's kind of difficult for you the first time, that's okay, but I promise it'll get easier with practice. Good. Go ahead and swing your legs back behind you. We're going to come to all fours. All right, we're going to do a few little stretches through our spine. You may also find it stretches through your stomach a little bit as well. So take a nice deep inhale, let your belly drop, your head and tailbone come up. And exhale, pull your belly button up towards your spine. Once again, you're finding that really nice contraction through your belly here. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, curve your spine. Inhale, lengthening through that spine. And if it helps you, you can bend your elbows just slightly and think about pulling your elbows back towards your legs. Inhaling out, lengthening, and exhaling, and contracting your stomach, curving your spine. Very good. Let's come back to a neutral spine here. We're going to do just a simple balance pose here on our hands and knees, because it's going to help us to engage our core just a little bit more. And really, that's a feeling you want to become familiar with. It's what it's like to have to engage your core throughout all the yoga poses, throughout your daily movements, throughout other exercise routines, because that really provides a lot of stability and it brings a lot of safety to your back. We're going to inhale our right arm and our left leg out. And we're really stretching through those limbs, but at the same time, we're keeping our core strong. And release back down. We'll inhale out through our left arm and our right leg. Once again, you're stretching, but you're keeping your core strong. And release back down. Switching sides. We'll just inhale out. And exhale down. Switching. And exhaling. As we switch back to the right arm and left leg here, we're going to hold it for just a little bit. So really give yourself some time to focus on that core. Try not to sink down into that right hip or left shoulder. Stay lifted and use your core to keep the balance here. And exhale, release down. We'll take our left arm and keep breathing here, even as you're keeping your core tight. And release back down. We'll go ahead and sit back in child's pose for just a moment. You can take a few nice deep breaths. Let your forehead rest on your mat. And let your arms release. And just come back to that nice deep breathing we had at the beginning of class. On your next inhale, carefully shift your weight back up to all fours. Tuck your toes under and come up to downward facing dog. This is our first downward facing dog for today, so you're welcome to walk through your feet a little bit. Keep your knees pretty bent and stay up on your toes. And just feel the stretch that you get through your spine here. Remember, you're trying to create a really nice long line all the way from your fingertips up through your tailbone. So try to avoid this, letting your shoulders stick out. Really let your chest and stomach sink towards the ground. And relax your neck and let your head hang. Carefully, we'll step both of our feet up into our hands and reverse swan dive up. And carefully exhale your arms down to heart center. Let's continue that movement with our breathing, just inhaling up. Exhaling down. Inhaling. Exhaling. Let's inhale up one more time. We're going to interlace our fingers and then release your index fingers. And carefully, we're just going to bend towards the left. I want you to think more of lengthening than bending though. So it's lifting up away from your hips, really reaching towards the ceiling, the left corner of the ceiling. Feel that stretch through your left side. You're also strengthening quite a bit here because you're having to use your core muscles to hold you here in this position. Inhale back up. Let's exhale down to the right side. Think about lengthening. Pay attention to those core muscles. And we're going to come back up. Left side. And move a little bit quicker. Just going back and forth between right and left. Doesn't need to be an extreme bend. We want to stay really safe here. And just feel those core muscles on our sides as well. Time to each side, and then stand up nice and tall. Gently release your arms and just let your arms float down. Feel the blood coming back into your arms. You can take your head side to side. Bring your chin down to your chest. And go side to side there. Stand up nice and tall again. We'll inhale our arms up overhead. And this time as we exhale, swan dive down. Going to forward fold. Inhale to a flat back, really lengthening and reaching through the top of your head. Release back down. Place your hands on the ground and step back to plank. Slowly lower down through chaturanga, keeping your elbows right by your sides. Inhale up to cobra, and then be careful as you press up through upward dog. This is a pretty intense stretch through your abdominal muscles. And then back to downward facing dog. Once again, find your best downward facing dog, and then we're going to take our right leg off the ground. Find your stability here for just a moment. That leg doesn't need to come high. We're keeping our hips square and thinking about lifting that heel towards the ceiling. So not opening up your hips. We're going to bend that knee and bring it into our chest and hold it here for just a moment. Try and lift that leg as far away from the ground as you can. Extend that leg back out behind you. And then carefully, let's bring that knee in again. This time we're going to touch it towards our right elbow. really using your core muscles here. This is difficult. You can do it. And extend that leg back out. And then bringing it in again. This time crossing it over, bringing it to our left elbow. Really squeezing those core muscles. And extending back out. Good. You can go ahead and just release that foot back to the ground. Maybe walk through your toes and your feet a little bit. And then carefully we're going to take our left leg into the air. Once again, keeping the hips square, lifting through that heel, and then bending the knee and bringing it into your chest. Holding it here and lifting up as far away from your mat as you can. And extend the leg back out. Bring that knee in, this time to the right elbow. And extend back out. And then bring that knee again over to the right elbow. And extend it back out. You can go ahead and release that foot down. Let's come up on our tippy toes, bend our knees down, and you can go ahead and sit back into child's pose for a few nice deep breaths. Notice how nice it feels to breathe really nice and deep after we've been doing a little bit of hard work. One more nice deep inhale and exhale. And then on your next inhale, shift your weight forward, tuck your toes under, and we'll come up to our downward facing dog again. Take our right leg up into the air again. Bend the knee, bring it into your chest. We're gonna hold here for just a moment again. Really think about scooping out your stomach, lifting that belly button up towards the spine, creating a lot of space underneath you. And then we're gonna step that foot forward right between our thumbs. So really engaging the core is something that's gonna help you be able to do that maneuver where you step your foot all the way up between your thumbs. It takes a lot of practice, but your core is a big part of it. We'll go ahead and just release our back knee to the ground and stretch through our hips here. Tuck those back toes under. We'll step back to downward facing dog. Take your left leg up into the air. Bend that knee. Bring it into your chest. Hold it there. Scoop out your stomach. Lift your belly button. And then you'll find it's a lot easier to step that foot between your thumbs. Go ahead and release the back knee, the back foot. Just stretch through our hips here. Put those back toes under. We'll step back to downward facing dog. And one more really nice deep stretch here. You're welcome to still have your knees bent and to be up on your toes, but if you feel like you want more of a stretch through your legs, you can work on straightening your knees and letting your heels drop down towards the mat. Still keeping your spine nice and long, of course. And then come up onto your tippy toes and bend your knees down to the mat. And then you can either cross your ankles and sit back, or you can swing your legs out in front of you. We're going to do just a little bit more core work before we finish up and come into our final relaxation, here we're going to do the boat pose. And this is a balance pose as well, but it really requires your core to help keep you balanced. We're going to start with our hands. Just slide them right underneath your knees. And bring your feet in a little bit closer to you. Start by engaging your core already. Start right here. I'm going to find the best place for us to balance, which is right in between our sacrum. It's right on our sacrum, right above your tailbone. Carefully come up on your toes. And then if you feel ready, you can lift your toes off the ground. Remember, your core is still working here. And you can even bring your feet parallel to the ground. If this feels pretty comfortable to you, pretty easy, and you're ready to give yourself a challenge, just bring your hands right out next to your legs. Core. Carefully release back down. Good job. Let's come down onto our backs again. Keep your knees bent and your feet on the floor. And just extend your arms out to the sides. Give your back a moment to relax. And then at the same time, we're going to pick our feet up off the floor. So don't do one at a time. If you did that, bring your feet back down and use your core muscles. Lift both your feet up at once. We're going to keep our core engaged as we do this, but we're going to get a little bit of twisting through our spine as well. So first, let your knees both drop off to the left side. And then using your core muscles, lift those legs back up. Off to the right side. And lifting over to the left side. Whenever you're lifting your legs back up, the core or the movement should initiate from your core. So you really feel your core working here. Go off to the left again. Now we're going to add a little bit more into this. Instead of just letting our knees drop off to the side, we're going to do little crunches and we're going to bring them up. So up towards the left shoulder and back up. And then over to the right. Really lift to the right shoulder and back up. Feel this really engages your core muscles, especially as you lift. Just keep alternating from side to side. This doesn't need to be a quick or fast movement. We're just focusing on the core. Kind of get a little massage through your lower back as you're doing this too, rolling from side to side. Time to the right. Good job. And then carefully just release your feet back down. Let your spine relax and lengthen out. We're going to extend our left leg to the mat and then just take your right leg straight up in the air. It's getting a little bit of a stretch here through our legs. Your first focus in this pose should be to keep that leg straight. So if you need to lower it down a little bit, that's okay. If your knee is still bent, that's okay. Just make sure you are getting a stretch and just work on straightening that knee. Once your knee is straight, then you can begin to figure out where you get the best stretch. Maybe it's pulling your leg in a little bit closer to you. Maybe it's just keeping the leg straight up. Just find the best stretch for you. You can try pointing through the foot and then flexing. Just noticing how that changes the stretch in your leg. Carefully bend that right knee, extend that right leg out, and we'll take our left leg up. Remember, first of all, make sure you're trying to straighten that leg. And find the place where you get the best stretch, and you can point and flex through that foot. Carefully bend that knee back down and release the foot to the ground. Release your arms out to your sides, and we are all ready for our Shavasana pose, or our final relaxation. If you want to grab socks or a jacket or a blanket or pillow or anything for this pose, you're welcome to do that right now. But I'd recommend that you do stay on your back. Isn't just a normal nap where you would climb into your bed and curl up. But we're really trying to let our body be open here. Your stomach, your hips, your shoulders, your chest, you're open here. And at the same time, we're trying to release all of our muscles. Be a challenging pose, challenging idea here in yoga, but even in life as well. How many times do we allow ourselves to be open and vulnerable and be okay with it? That's why we practice this at the end of each yoga class. You're in a safe place and you know you're okay. Quick inventory of your body. Are there any muscles that aren't wanting to relax? Is there anywhere you're holding stress or tension? A few places you should check in with are your hips, your shoulders, your brow, your jaw, and even your fingers and your toes. We get jittery in our fingers and our toes. If you do find that you're holding stress or tension in any part of your body, then just bring awareness to that area. Perhaps that's enough to let those muscles release. If not, you can imagine your breath going to that part of your body. On the exhales, try to let the stress and the tension release with the oxygen. Sometimes it takes a few minutes for you to totally let go, to let your entire body release, and that's okay. another nice deep inhale, really expanding your stomach. And then exhale nice and slow. As we prepare to move again, you're welcome to start by wiggling your fingers and your toes. Just bringing awareness and life back to your body. And then very carefully, we're going to roll onto one side. You can choose whichever is more comfortable for you, your right or your left. You can go ahead and curl your knees up in. And this is the pose where we find that safety and self-protection. It's very different from the Shavasana that we were just doing. It's okay to be here sometimes as well. This feeling of wanting to be safe and protected. And then carefully begin to press yourself up to a seated position. Sitting really nice and tall, finding your best posture, letting your shoulders relax. And once again, engaging your core, even as you're sitting here, and pay attention to how that feels. As you're sitting at your desk each day, or maybe sitting in a class, you can think about engaging your core. It doesn't have to be just while you're exercising or doing yoga. Just carefully take a nice deep inhale. And then exhale, bring your hands to heart center. And thank you for joining me for yoga today. Once again, my name is Kristen, and I'm a health coach with Orion. Namaste.